At my brother's engagement dinner, my father introduced him as his pride and joy, then looked at me and called me his greatest disappointment. Everyone laughed awkwardly until I pulled out documents that revealed a truth none of them could deny, flipping the entire evening upside down. Yeah, I need to get this off my chest cause I can't sleep, can't eat, can't function. What I did 3 months ago destroyed everything. Not just my marriage. Not just my relationship with my kids, everything. It started so innocently. That's what I keep telling, but deep down I know that's garbage. Nothing about what I did was innocent. My brother Jake has always been the golden child. Straight A's, full scholarship, married his college sweetheart, successful law practice, 2 perfect kids. Me. I was the screw-up who barely graduated, bounced between jobs, married young because Sarah got pregnant. Don't get me wrong, I loved Sarah. I loved our kids Emma and Tyler more than itself. But living in Jake's shadow for 32 years does things too. The night that ruined everything was supposed to be Jake's moment. His engagement dinner to Rebecca, another perfect addition to his perfect. 50 people at the country club, champagne flowing, everyone congratulating the happy couple. Then Dad stood for his speech. I want to toast my son Jake, he said, raising his glass. My pride and joy. The son who never gave me a sleepless night, who achieved everything he set his mind to. Then he looked directly at me. And to my other son Michael, who, well, let's just say he's been my greatest disappointment since the day he was born. The room went silent. Awkward laughter rippled through the crowd. Sarah grabbed my hand under the table, her face burning red. Emma, my 15-year-old daughter, looked like she wanted to disappear. Tyler, only 12, didn't understand why everyone was staring at us. Something snapped inside me and I stood, pulled out my phone, and opened the folder I'd discovered 2 weeks earlier while helping Mom organize Dad's old office files. The folder I'd been carrying around, unsure what to do with it. Since we're sharing truths tonight, I said, my voice shaking with rage, and let me share one of my own. I held the documents, bank statements, hotel receipts, credit card bills, all from 1992 to 1995. All showing payments to someone named Linda Chen, all signed by my father. Pride and joy Jake. I looked around the room. He's not even biological son. The room exploded. Jake went white. Mom dropped her glass, shattering it on the floor. Dad lunged toward me, but I kept talking. Linda Chen, secretary for 3 years. The one had an affair with while Mom was pregnant with Jake. The same Linda Chen who Jake looks exactly like when see her photos. I pulled out a picture I'd found tucked in the bank statements. Jake has her eyes, her nose, her smile. Everything I could never figure out about why he looked nothing like our family. Rebecca started crying. Jake was shaking his head, saying no over and over. But the resemblance was undeniable once saw the photo. The payment stopped in 1995 when Linda moved to Seattle. Right around the time suddenly had money for Jake's private school tuition that claimed came from bonus at work. Dad finally found his voice. Have no right. These are lies. They're trying to destroy brother because they're jealous. But Mom spoke, barely a whisper. Harold, stop. Everyone turned to lying. Michael's right. Her voice was broken, defeated. I've known for 27 years. I stayed because I didn't want to lose everything. But Jake isn't son Harold. He's Linda's son with that businessman she was seeing. Paid her to keep quiet but thought Jake was yours, but the timing was wrong. I did the math. We all did. The room was dead silent now except for Rebecca's crying. Jake stood slowly, his perfect composure finally cracking. Is this true? Mom, is this true? Mom nodded, tears streaming down her face. That's when I realized what I'd done. In my moment of rage, in my desperate need to not be the family disappointment for once, I'd destroyed my brother. The brother who never asked to be the favorite. Who never knew he was living a lie. Jake looked at me with such pain in his eyes. Why would do this to me? At my engagement dinner. In front of Rebecca's family. And that's when it hit me. I'd become the disappointment Dad always said I was, but worse. I the one person who never deserved it. Jake had always been kind to me, always tried to include me, always defended me when Dad would make his remarks. I just nuked his entire identity cause I couldn't handle being called a disappointment one more time. The dinner ended with Rebecca's family leaving in shock. Jake storming out without his fiancée, Mom locking herself in the bathroom, and Dad staring at me with pure hatred. Sarah didn't speak to me the entire drive home. Emma cried quietly in the back seat. Tyler kept asking what was wrong, why everyone was so upset. That night Sarah finally broke her silence. I can't believe did that. Own brother. At his engagement dinner. But I was right. I said weakly. Dad has been lying for 30 years. Jake deserved to know. Did he really deserve to find out that way, in front of 50 people? Didn't do this for Jake. Michael did this because feelings were destroyed. Brothers because couldn't handle being the disappointment for one more night. She was right. God, she was so right. But it was too late. The damage was done. Jake and Rebecca postponed their wedding. Mom and Dad separated after 35 years of marriage. Dad moved in with his sister and hasn't spoken to any of us since. And me, I lost my job 3 weeks later when word spread around our small town. Turns out publicly family at a country club dinner doesn't play well with employers who value character and discretion. But losing my job was nothing compared to what came next. Sarah asked me to move out 2 months after the dinner. I can't look at the same way, she said. What did Jake showed me who really are when are angry. I'm scared of what might do to me or the kids if we disappoint. Emma won't speak to me. She's embarrassed to be seen with me. Her friends at school heard about what happened. In a town of 8,000 people, everyone knows everyone's business. Tyler still talks to me, but he asks questions I can't answer. Why did Uncle Jake Daddy? Why did make everyone cry? I see them every other weekend now, and every time I pick them, I see the damage I've caused. Emma's grades drop. Tyler has nightmares. Sarah looks exhausted and broken. Jake tried to reconcile with Rebecca, but the damage was too deep. Their relationship couldn't survive the revelation and the public humiliation. She broke off the engagement last month. Jake found out the truth about his biological father through a private investigator. Turns out Mom was right about the timeline being wrong, but wrong about everything else. Linda Chen never had an affair with a businessman. She had an affair with my father. Jake's dad's biological son, just born from an affair, not from marriage. Which means I destroyed my family based on a 30-year-old misunderstanding and incomplete information. Dad wasn't paying Linda hush money to hide someone else's child. He was paying child support for his own son born outside of marriage. Mom knew about the affair but thought Jake wasn't dad's. Dad knew about the affair and knew Jake was his, but let Mom believe otherwise to save their marriage. Nobody bothered to get a paternity test because everyone assumed they knew the truth. I sit in my studio apartment now, eating microwave dinners and scrolling through social media, watching my families continue without me. Sarah posted pictures of Tyler's Little League game yesterday. I wasn't there. Jake started dating someone new, a teacher who doesn't know our family's history. Dad moved to Florida to start over at 68 years old. Mom is in therapy. Emma is in therapy. Tyler wet the bed for 2 months after I moved out. All because I couldn't handle being called a disappointment, and decided to down the entire family to make feel better for 30 seconds. I was right about one thing though. I am the greatest disappointment. I thought rock bottom was losing my family. I was wrong. Rock bottom has a basement and I'm living in it now. After my last post blew with people calling me everything from justified to absolute monster, I need to update on how much worse this gets. Because it gets so much worse. The first sign was Emma's birthday party last month. Sarah texted me the details. Bowling alley 3 p.m. just family. I showed with the expensive art supplies Emma had been wanting, thinking maybe this could be a step toward healing. Emma took one look at me and started crying. Not sad crying. Angry, gut-wrenching sobs that made the entire bowling alley go quiet. I don't want him here, she screamed at Sarah. He ruins everything. He made Uncle Jake sad. He made Grandma sick. My 15-year-old daughter. The little girl who used to run to me when she had nightmares, who called me her hero. She said she hated me in front of 30 kids and parents. Sarah pulled me aside. Need to leave. But it's her birthday. Michael, look at her. Look at her. She's having a panic because being here is causing her physical pain. I left. Drove to a bar and drank until they me off. Woke in my car in the parking lot with a citation for public intoxication. But that wasn't the worst part of the month. Jake tried to himself 2 weeks later. I found out from Mom, who called me sobbing at 2 a.m. He's in the hospital. Rebecca's parents found him. I rushed to the hospital, but they wouldn't let me in. Security actually escorted me out because Jake had put me on a no-visit list. Through the window, I could see him lying there, tubes everywhere, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. Rebecca was holding his hand even though they'd broken. She'd never stopped loving him. The nurse told Rebecca's mom that Jake had left a note. Just 4 words. I don't know who I am. My perfect brother, who'd never had an identity crisis in his, tried to end it all because I'd shattered everything he thought he knew about himself. The revelation that he was Dad's affair child, combined with the public humiliation and losing Rebecca, had broken something fundamental inside him. He survived, barely, but something in his eyes is different now. Empty. Meanwhile, my job situation went from bad to catastrophic. Word about what I'd done spread beyond our town. Social media is forever, and someone had recorded part of that dinner on their phone. The video went viral locally. Man destroys brother's engagement with family secret. I couldn't find work anywhere in a 50-mile radius, so I took a job at a warehouse 2 hours away, driving back every other weekend to see Tyler. Emma still refuses to see me. The warehouse job lasted 3 weeks. My supervisor, a guy named Dave, pulled me aside one Friday afternoon. I looked online, he said. Saw the video. Can't have someone with character issues working here. We deal with valuable mercs, and that was personal family business. It has nothing to do with my work. Everything has to do with work. If he'll destroy own brother for petty revenge, what would do to coworkers? To the company, another job gone. Another black mark. I'm working at a gas station now, overnight shifts, making barely enough to cover child support in my studio apartment. The manager hired me because he doesn't do background checks and doesn't care about viral videos. He just needs someone to work the hours nobody else wants. But here's the thing that's eating me alive. I keep finding out how much deeper the damage goes. Tyler's teacher called Sarah last week. He's been acting out in school, getting into fights, failing tests he should ace easily. When they asked him what's wrong, he said, "My daddy made everyone in our family sick, and now nobody loves him. 12 years old, and he thinks love is conditional. That if disappoint people enough they'll stop loving. Just like what happened to me." Sarah had to put him in therapy. Insurance doesn't cover it all, so she's working extra shifts at the hospital to pay for it. She looks exhausted every time I see her. 20 pounds thinner, dark circles under her eyes, gray starting to show in her hair. I did that to her. The woman who loved me for 15 years, who stood by me through every failure, every disappointment, every decision, I broke her too. Mom's in assisted living now. The stress of the separation, combined with watching Jake in the hospital and me destroying the family, triggered some kind of breakdown. She just stopped taking care of herself. Stopped eating, stopped bathing, stopped leaving the house. Dad visits her twice a week from Florida, but she doesn't recognize him half the time. The doctors say stress-induced dementia can happen, especially in older adults who experience severe emotional trauma. My mother is disappearing piece by piece because I couldn't handle being called a disappointment. Jake got out of the hospital but moved across the country. Los Angeles. Rebecca told Sarah he said he needed to be somewhere nobody knew our family's story. He's working at a legal aid clinic, making a fraction of what he used to earn, living in a studio apartment not much bigger than mine. The golden child is gone. The pride and joy packed his and ran because staying meant facing the wreckage I created every single day. Rebecca tried to maintain contact with our family for a while. She still loved Jake, still wanted to work things out. But the damage was too deep. She told Sarah that Jake wakes screaming sometimes, nightmares about that dinner, about everyone staring at him while his world fell apart. He can't even go to restaurants anymore, she said. Too many people, too much attention. He's afraid someone will recognize him from the video and it'll all start again. I gave my brother PTSD. The man who never showed fear, who handled courtrooms full of hostile lawyers, who could charm anyone into anything, is now afraid of eating in public. The latest update came yesterday. Sarah's getting remarried, not to some guy she just met. To David, a man she knew from work. They'd been friends for years, but apparently she'd always had feelings for him. She told me over the phone while I was on my lunch break at the gas station. I need to move on, Michael. The kids need stability and David loves them. Tyler already calls him Dad David. He's never called just Dad since moved out. It's always my other daddy or real daddy, like he's trying to figure out which version of father is the real one. What about our marriage? We took vows. Broke those vows the night, chose revenge over family. Chose Jake over protecting the people who loved. David would never do what did. David puts his family first. She's right. David's a good man. He's kind to Tyler, patient with Emma's anger, respectful to Sarah. Everything I should have been but wasn't. They're getting married next month. Small ceremony, just immediate family and close friends. I'm not invited, obviously. Tyler asked if I could come, but Sarah explained that it would be too painful for everyone. My son is gonna walk his down the aisle to marry another man because his real father destroyed the family. Emma's doing better with David around. She calls him Dave, and actually smiles in the family photos Sarah posts online. She's back to straight A's, joined the debate, has friends over again. My daughter's entire improved the moment I was removed from it. The math is simple. Sarah plus David plus Tyler Emma, happy family. Add me to the equation and everything falls apart. I spent last weekend driving past our old house. David was teaching Tyler how to throw a football in the front yard. The same yard where I used to push Emma on her swing set, where we had birthday parties and barbecues and normal family moments. Tyler was laughing, really laughing, in a way I hadn't seen since before that awful dinner. David was patient when Tyler missed catches, encouraging when he made good throws. Just being the dad Tyler needed. I sat in my car watching my replacement be a better father to my son than I ever was. Watching my family be happier without me than they ever were with me. That night, I understood why Jake tried to take. When destroyed everything good, and when absence makes everyone happier than presence ever did. When own children prefer their stepfather to their biological father. What's left? I'm too much of a coward for that. But I understand the logic now. I understand the math that says maybe everyone would be better off if I just disappeared entirely. I won't do it because Tyler still needs his child support payments and I won't put that burden on Sarah. But understanding the logic scares me more than the actual thoughts. This is what rock bottom's basement looks like. It's not just being alone. It's knowing that everyone ever loved is genuinely better off without in their lives. It's knowing that love presents very existence as a net negative for every person who matters to. I work overnight at a gas station, sleep during the day in a studio apartment, and spend my evenings scrolling through social media looking at my family built after removing me from it. And the cruelest part? I can't even blame anyone else for this. I can't say Sarah was wrong to leave me, or that Emma's wrong to me, or that Tyler's wrong to prefer David. They're all making the right choice, the healthy choice. I'm the cancer they had to out to survive. I'm writing this from a motel room in Nevada. Tomorrow I start over in a town where nobody knows my name, nobody has seen the video, and nobody will ever hear about what I did to my family. But first I need to tell how this story really ends. Because the consequences I thought were the worst weren't even close to the final price. 3 months ago Tyler stopped talking to me entirely. Not because Sarah forced him to, not because David told him to. Because Tyler at 13 years old made the decision himself. It happened during one of our scheduled visits. We were at McDonald's, the only place that felt neutral anymore, and Tyler was telling me about his baseball team making the playoffs. Dave's been helping me with my batting stance, he said. He played college baseball. He knows all these techniques. That's great, buddy. I said, trying to sound supportive while my heart broke a little more. He's gonna adopt me officially after he and mom get married. I nearly choked on my coffee. What? Yeah, so I can have his last name. So I can be Tyler Morrison instead of Tyler Brooks. Dave says it'll make us a real family. Ty, we're already a real family. I'm dad. He looked at me with these eyes that seem way too old for 13. Though. What do you mean? Dads don't destroy their families because their feelings got. Dads don't make their daughters them. Dads don't make their brothers try to themselves. Dave explained it to me. My went cold. What did Dave explain? He said some men become fathers by accident, but real dads choose to be dads every single day. He said chose revenge over being a dad that night at Uncle Jake's dinner. And keep choosing over being a dad every time, feel sorry for instead of trying to fix what broke. 13 years old, and he could see right through me. I'm trying to fix it, Ty. That's why I keep asking to see an Emma more. No, not, or trying to make feel better. There's a difference. He was right. God help me, he was absolutely right, so don't want to see me anymore. I love because of my biological dad, but I don't like anymore. And Dave says love isn't enough if someone keeps, he says I'm allowed to protect my peace. Protect his peace. My 13-year-old son had to learn about protecting his peace because his father was a to it. That was the last conversation we had. He texted me 2 weeks later saying he decided he didn't want visits anymore. He'd rather spend the time with his friends and his new family. Sarah called to discuss it. I can't force him, Michael. He's old enough to make this choice. And honestly, he's been happier since he made it. But I'm his father. Being a father isn't a title get to keep forever just because of biology. It's a job have to do every day. And I doesn't think of doing the job anymore. The adoption went through last month. Tyler Morrison. My son legally belongs to another man now because I proved I wasn't worthy of the title dad. Emma graduated high school with honors, valedictorian, full scholarship to Northwestern. I found out from Facebook I wasn't invited to graduation. But I drove there anyway, sat in the parking lot, and watched through the fence as she gave her speech. She was radiant, confident, everything I'd hoped she'd become. And in her speech, she thanked the people who supported her through the hardest times, and mentioned Sarah, David, her grandmother's, my mom, who doesn't remember me anymore, and even Jake, who'd flown in from Los Angeles. She didn't mention me not once, not even in passing. After the ceremony I watched families taking pictures. Sarah, David, Tyler, Emma all smiling and laughing. Jake was there too, thinner than before but genuinely happy for his niece. He had his arm around Emma, and she was looking at him with pure adoration. My brother, the man I tried to destroy, was there for my daughter's graduation when I wasn't allowed to be. That's when I realized the final truth: I hadn't just lost my family. I'd been replaced entirely. David was Emma's father figure now. Jake had stepped in as the uncle who could be trusted at important moments. Even mom in her lucid moments asked Sarah about Emma's graduation, but never asked about me. I'd been edited out of my own family's story. But the real end came 2 weeks ago. I got a call from a lawyer in Los Angeles. Jake had died. Not this time car accident. Some driver ran a red light, quick and random and final. I flew to Los Angeles for the funeral, thinking surely this would be when the family came together, when grief would remind us that's too short for grudges. I was wrong. Sarah saw me at the service and asked me to leave. This isn't about Michael. Let Jake rest in peace without the person who caused him so much pain. He was my brother. Stop being his brother. The night destroyed is for a cheap moment of revenge. Brothers protect each other, nearly killed him. I stayed anyway, sitting in the back, watching my family mourn while I mourned alone. Emma gave a eulogy about how Jake had been her safe person after our family fell apart. How he'd called her every week from Los Angeles, helped her with college applications, and promised to walk her down the aisle at her wedding since her father wouldn't be invited. My brother, the man I'd tried to had stepped in to do the job I'd abandoned when I chose destruction over love. Tyler spoke too. About how Uncle Jake had taught him that good men take responsibility for their mistakes, and how Jake had spent his last years trying to help kids in LA who came from broken homes. Uncle Jake told me that some people break things when they're, but the best people try to fix things instead. He said he learned that lesson too late in his own family, but he wasn't gonna let other families make the same mistakes. Jake had become everything I should have been, for everyone except his own family. Because I'd made it impossible for him to heal at home. The final twist came at the will reading. Jake had left everything to a foundation for children from broken homes. But there was a personal letter addressed to me. Michael, it read, I forgive. I understand now that people, and Dad's words that night more than any of us realized. But forgiveness doesn't mean consequences disappear. What did changed all of us forever. I hope someday find a way to live with that. I hope someday choose to build instead of destroy. I hope become the man Tyler and Emma needed to be. Even if it's too late for them to see it. Love, Jake. My brother was a better man than I'd ever been. After the funeral, I drove to the beach and sat there until sunrise, reading Jake's letter over and over. That's when I made the decision to disappear completely. Not just gone. New name, new state. Let my family heal without constant reminder of their worst day walking around in the world. I signed over all my parental rights to David. Tyler wanted it, and fighting it would just cause more pain. I transferred what little money I had into an account for Emma's college expenses, with David as the trustee so she'd never have to see my name. I wrote letters to Emma and Tyler that I'll never send, explaining everything, apologizing for everything, telling them how proud I am of who they've become despite having me as a father. The letters sit in a box with letter and pictures from when we were all happy. Tomorrow I become Michael Thompson instead of Michael Brooks. New social security number, new identity, new chance to be invisible. I'll work construction or warehouse jobs, live alone, and never risk another family the way I destroyed mine. This is my final post. I'm deleting this account and every trace of my old. But I needed to finish this story because someone out there might read this and recognize themselves in the beginning. Someone might be sitting at their own family dinner, feeling humiliated, feeling like the disappointment, with their own nuclear option burning a hole in their pocket. To that person I want to say this, the 30 seconds of satisfaction get from revenge will cost 30 years of regret. The moment choose destruction over healing, become the villain in everyone's story, including own. Family might forgive eventually, but they'll never forget, and more importantly, will never forgive. Emma and Tyler are better off without me. Sarah is happier with David than she ever was with me. Jake would still be alive if I kept my mouth shut and dealt with my lichen. Mom might still remember my name if I hadn't triggered the stress that broke her mind. Every person I ever loved would be better off if I'd never been born. That's not self-pity. That's just math. I thought being called the greatest disappointment was the worst thing that could happen to me. I was wrong. The worst thing was proving it true. Don't be me. Don't choose 30 seconds of revenge over 30 years of love. Don't let wounded ego convince that destroying others will heal pain, because in the end, the only person will really destroy is